Divine prophecy revealed. 12 miraculous declarations that will transform your life forever. In the heart of a quaint English village, a tremor of hope rippled through the community, ignited by whispers of miraculous declarations. The air was thick with faith, and Mary, a devoted woman in her 40s, felt it fire up her spirit. She had been the lifeblood of this village, uniting the people with her unwavering belief. But now, her bright light dimmed under the shadow of despair, as her teenage son Thomas lay bedridden from a tragic injury. As she knelt in prayer, the alarming silence was pierced by her plea. "St. Jude, we need you more than ever." Suddenly, a cool breeze swept through the old church, rustling ancient hymnals and whispering promises of hope. Flickering candles danced as if in response, shedding golden light onto the worried faces gathered around her. They all understood. This was not just any evening. This was a night where faith could intersect with the impossible, where despair could be exchanged for a miracle. As attendees began to unite in fervent prayer, an elder named Mr. Johnson stood, his voice rich with reverence. "I bring forth a message, dear friends, 12 miraculous declarations from Scripture, each capable of healing and transformation." Gasps of excitement rippled like waves across the congregation. Mary felt a newfound warmth spread through her blood. The declarations spoke of healing, of restoration, and a promise that seemed tailored for Thomas. But as the heartfelt prayers lifted, a whisper of doubt quietly crept into the gathering. "How can we be sure?" someone murmured. It was a question that hung ominously in the air, dampening the buoyant faith they had just nurtured. Then came the crushing blow. Thomas's appeal for advanced treatment had been denied. Mary's heart sank. A fragile hope shattered like glass, scattering into 1,000 painful shards. Darkness threatened to swallow her spirit, leaving her wrestling with a faith that felt forsaken. How could this happen when they had sought the divine? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the silence of her home, Mary watched the essence of joy seep from her family, leaving empty echoes of laughter. That night, desperation led her back to the church. Kneeling beneath the vaulted ceiling, she wept. Tears trickled down, pooling on the cold stone floor, when suddenly light engulfed her. Blinding brilliance sparkled through the darkness as angels appeared, their presence electric and radiant. They whispered sacred truths that ignited her heart with purpose and fierce hope. As dawn broke, miracles shook the village awake. Unexplainable healings, lost items reappearing, and renewed faith blossoming among the townsfolk. Thomas, filled with newfound determination, stirred awake, ready to fight for his dreams once more. Yet, skepticism churned among parishioners, questioning the authenticity of these miracles, tearing at the unity Mary had always fostered. Standing amidst this chaos of hope and doubt, Mary felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Could this truly be divine intervention, or were the miraculous just coincidences? As whispers of skepticism grew louder, Mary realized she stood at a crossroads, with the village divided between believing and doubting, each prayer knitted tightly with yearning for a miracle. What would unfold next? The sun rose over the village with an ethereal glow, as if the heavens had bled their brightness into the morning. Mary stood in her kitchen, a cup of steaming tea clutched tightly in her hands, lost in thought. The warmth of the cup seeped through her fingers, calming her restless heart. She recalled the electric moments from the night before, the angels, the whispered truths, and the hope lit anew within her. Yet even amidst this newfound pulse of faith, the threads of doubt wound tighter around the villagers, threatening to snuff out the light that had ignited. As breakfast was prepared, Mary felt a familiar pang of fear that throbbed like an unanswered question. She had witnessed miraculous phenomena, yet the skepticism in the hearts of her community weighed heavily upon her. They needed reassurance. They needed reassurance, more than fluttering candles and fleeting glimpses of grace. They needed a tangible miracle, something undeniable. The church filled again as dusk approached, voices rising in unison, pleading for heavenly intervention. Mr. Johnson stood once more, his presence a beacon of fervent faith. "Let us gather in prayer, trusting that our cries are heard." His words floated through the dimly lit space, wrapping around the congregation. Mary's heart surged at the sight of so many souls coming together, yet uncertainty loomed. She stepped forward, fueled by instinct and faith, a feeling that perhaps she was meant to play a greater role. "Brothers and sisters," she began, her voice shaking at first, but then growing steadier. "What is faith if it is untested? We stand on the brink of divine promise. Let us unite our prayers and declare in one voice." With that proclamation, an electric silence fell, and the air thickened with anticipation. The congregation leaned in closer, their expectations mingling with a delicate tension. Mary closed her eyes, letting warmth ripple through her, drawing strength from the unseen. Hours trickled by like grains of sand as prayers ascended in layers, filling the space with a heavenly aroma. Then, all at once, a shrill gasp broke through the murmur. A woman named Eliza, known for her struggles with a debilitating illness, stood trembling as light enveloped her. The air cracked with energy as she took hesitant steps forward, glancing at her own hands as if they'd transformed overnight. Everyone's eyes, years of pain evaporated, replaced by a radiant glow of vitality. "See!" Mary shouted, her voice alight with triumph. "God is here! He walks among us!" The atmosphere burst into joyous shouts. Faith rekindled in every heart. But beneath the exhilaration lurked questions, an edge of unease. Murmurs spread. Was this a true miracle, or a trick of the light? Amidst the celebration, Mary felt the chill of doubt creeping back into her spirit, casting shadows over the breakthrough. Later that night, unable to escape the swirling thoughts, she knelt again in prayer, surrendering her fears to the divine. "Lord," she pleaded, "do not let my heart waver. Help me believe the impossible." As she sat in spiritual silence, enveloped in the scent of candle wax and moss from the old stones, warmth blossomed in her chest, a whisper of assurance. In that moment of divine intimacy, Mary caught a glimpse of something extraordinary, a vision surrounded by stars. A figure stood before her, illuminated by a soft glow, eyes deep as the ocean, filled with both wisdom and understanding. "Fear not, Mary, for the journey ahead holds greater wonders than your heart can fathom." The weight of those words hung in the cool air, pregnant with anticipation. What awaited her? Was this the beginning of something far-reaching, a true testimony of faith to silence the doubters? As the flames flickered low and the night deepened, Mary sensed destiny on the horizon, stretching out before her like the tapestry of time. The village's path lay uncertain, tangled in doubt and hope. The answer was coming, but would they be ready to embrace it? The dawn broke softly over the village, casting gentle hues of pink and gold across the sky. Mary awoke with the remnants of last night's vision dancing in her memory. She could still feel the warmth of the divine presence, the certainty that something greater was unfolding. It filled her with a fresh resolve. As she moved through her morning routine, the echoes of her prayer lingered in her heart. "Help me believe the impossible." The words took on a deeper meaning with each passing moment. If a little faith could ignite such a miracle as Eliza's healing, what else could be possible? The villagers were buzzing about Eliza's return to health, yet Mary sensed an undercurrent of hesitation. Their joy was mixed with doubt. Whisperings of, "What if it was a trick?" or "Is this really God?" flooded the air. She knew it was time to step forward once more, not just for herself, but for her community. That evening, Mary prepared for another gathering at the church, filling her spirit with prayer as she arranged the candles and placed fresh flowers at the altar. Each petal seemed to shimmer in response to the excited chatter of the villagers. They would come seeking answers, just as she had. When the congregation filled the church, the atmosphere felt charged and alive. Mary sensed something was shifting, a palpable anticipation humming through the crowd. Mr. Johnson opened the meeting with gratitude, thanking God for Eliza's miracle. But Mary felt it was her moment to shine a light on their hesitations. "Brothers and sisters," she said, her voice steady and sure, "Eliza's healing is not just about her. It's a divine invitation for all of us to experience our own miracles. Let us not shy away in doubt, but lean into faith. We have been given a glimpse of God's power, and it's time we claim it." The room grew quiet, eyes gazing at her with a mix of hope and concern. Mary continued, her heart beating as if in rhythm with the divine pulse she felt surrounding them. "We must dare to ask for what seems impossible. In unity, let us lift our voices further, deeper, to access this connection to the Almighty." With every word, she felt the tension in the room dissolve, as if the heavy fog of uncertainty was being lifted. Inspired, she led them in prayer, inviting everyone to speak their hearts aloud. One after another, voices rose with fervor, pleading for healing, peace, and guidance. Suddenly, a flourish of light flickered from the altar, and a soft glow enveloped the entire congregation. Gasps filled the air again, but this time they echoed with belief rather than doubt. Mary looked around, witnessing the spark of faith reigniting hearts as they leaned into one another, eyes wide with awe. "Look!" she exclaimed, pointing toward the altar. "Can you feel this? God is among us. He is listening." Yet, amid the cries of joy, a stillness settled over her. Deep within, a stirring began. Mary sensed the figure from her vision encompassing the room, expanding like a vortex of trust and love, beckoning them into a greater understanding of miraculous possibilities. As she navigated through the crowd, she noticed a young boy standing just outside, his eyes uncertain, yet filled with longing. He had seen Eliza transform, but still held on tightly to skepticism. "Come," she urged, gently taking his hand. "Whatever burdens you carry, lay them down here. God's love is bigger than our doubts." In that moment, Mary realized it was not just the miracles that needed to be seen. It was the courage to embrace them, to ask boldly, to step into faith in its wildest forms. As night fell and the congregation dispersed, an ember of hope flickered brighter than before. Mary felt the words of her vision echo within her. Greater wonders await. What greater wonders awaited not just her, but the entire village? Would they dare to embrace their miracles, to stretch their faith towards horizons unseen? As she knelt in prayer once more, the air thick with promise, she sensed a stirring beyond the threshold of their lives. The answers were drawing near, but would they have the faith to step into the unknown? As dawn greeted the village again, the light felt different. It was gold and promise, a feathered touch that whispered through every heart that dared to wake. Mary stood at her window, watching as the sun glimmered over rooftops, illuminating the paths the villagers would tread that day. There was a sense of something vital brimming within her. She could almost taste it. The previous night lingered in her thoughts, a symphony of prayers, the warmth of fellowship, and that divine flicker of light. She could sense God's invitation to her and the villagers to share in a greater journey. What would they discover together? All she knew was that they had to venture forth in faith. Mary joined the village as they prepared for the day. There were whispers echoing the sentiments that had filled the church. What if Eliza's healing was a starting point? Could we seek our own miracles? In the marketplace, the air buzzed with possibility. Yet she knew doubt still teetered at the edges of their hearts. That afternoon, she gathered the young people, the ones often overlooked. Their eyes sparkled with curiosity, yet nestled deep within her heart, she sensed their fears. "Imagine what we could accomplish," she said, her voice eager, "if your friends could witness even a spark of faith, just like Eliza." Paige, one of the older girls, bit her lip and looked around. "What if it doesn't happen for us? What if we pray hard and don't see it?" The group grew quiet, their doubts casting shadows over the light Mary was trying to cultivate. "Listen," Mary replied with unwavering resolve. "There's a truth in vulnerability and honesty with God. No prayer is too small, no heart too broken. Remember, miracles begin when we dare to be seen, to be vulnerable. If you can believe even a little, it could change everything." She gathered them closer and led them in prayer, inviting each child to share their deepest wish, be it healing for a sick family member, strength in school, or peace in their homes. With every declaration, Mary felt a flicker of power weaving through them. The weight of their burdens mingled with hope echoed within that sacred space. That evening, the village bustled with excitement again, this time with a collective heartbeat. They gathered once more at the church under the haloed moonlight. The air felt pregnant with expectancy, and Mary sensed that everyone was ready. Together, they ignited a fire of faith through their shared voices, rising like incense toward heaven. As they prayed, the soft glow from the altar flickered again, illuminating faces transformed by belief. Gasps escaped lips, but this time they were filled with assurance. Mary felt the young boy from the night before among them again, but now he held his head a little higher, eyes alight with wonder. "Can you feel it?" Mary asked as she moved gracefully through rows of believers. "This is a moment for us all to clutch onto. God not only hears our prayers, but He wants us to unleash our wildest imaginations with Him. God's love can quench our doubts." The crowd sort of swayed, an unspoken bond weaving through them. In some way, they all understood. The time for transformation was now. Mary sensed something rumbling deep in her spirit, like a drumbeat beckoning her forward. As they dared to ask aloud for what seemed impossible, a cool breeze swept through the church. Mary lifted her hands, and suddenly she caught sight of the young boy, gasping, pointing toward a flickering light in the corner. "Do you see that?" he exclaimed, his voice rising above the murmurs. "It's glowing brighter." The congregation turned towards the source of his excitement, hearts racing with a mingling of fear and exhilaration. That flickering flame seemed to expand, reaching outward, stretching like a beckoning hand toward them all. Would they step into that glow, into the promises God was unveiling? With every ounce of courage she had, Mary stood resolute, inviting her congregation to lean into faith once more, knowing that they were on the brink of something divine. The atmosphere trembled, charged with possibilities still unknown. What awaited them in the light beyond their doubts? As they all held their breath together, the tension of wonder filled the air. Time hung suspended, and Mary felt her heart racing with the thought, what if this is just the beginning of what God has in store for us? The flickering light pulsed like a heartbeat, casting shadows that danced across the walls of the church. Mary held her breath, feeling the gravity of the moment settle around her like a thick mist. The congregation, still in suspense, leaned closer together, hands clasped in earnest anticipation. "Do we dare?" she whispered, the words escaping her lips like a sacred challenge. The young boy beside her nodded fervently, eyes wide with an unspoken promise. She could sense the faith swelling in the room, It was tangible, almost electric, as though the very air was thick with divine energy. "Let us step into the light," Mary declared, her voice rising with a vigor that echoed through the rafters. There was a collective intake of breath, a moment of hesitation before a ripple of agreement passed through the crowd. One by one, they began to lift their hands, reaching towards that mesmerizing glow, each person daring to believe that their cries, their wishes, could be woven into this tapestry of grace. As their hands extended, the church responded. The flickering intensified, bathing them in warmth. Faces turned upward, mouths whispering prayers anew. Mary felt a surge of longing and hope, pressing forward as she guided them deeper into this sacred moment. She recalled the visions of healings and miracles, each story thrumming through her soul. "Join me in declaring," she urged, her tone like a gentle wind carrying their voices skyward. "Let us proclaim together what we seek." "Love," called out a woman in the back. "Healing," shouted a teenager, their voice wavering yet full of passion. "Unity," rang out another, a deep commitment spilling forth from their heart. With each declaration, the light expanded, enveloping them, lifting the shadows that had once lingered in their spirits. Mary could hardly believe the sights unfolding before her. Joy flickered in eyes once clouded by despair. Hope had stitched together the frayed edges of hearts. The altar suddenly burst forth with radiant illumination, illuminating the scriptures lining the walls. The words seemed to shimmer alive, each promise written in sacred ink echoing the prevailing declarations. Mary couldn't help but feel the presence of the Almighty surrounding them, whispering assurances through the crackling silence. In an almost symphonic cadence, the voices lifted unto the heavens, weaving a rich tapestry of wishes, hopes, and prayers. Tears of joy slipped down Mary's cheeks, for she knew this was a moment far bigger than herself. It was a testament to their collective faith, a promise reaching far beyond the confines of their little village. As the light began to pulse more vigorously, Mary caught a fleeting glimpse of a figure in that brilliance, just at the edge of her vision. Was it her imagination? A radiant figure seemed to nod in recognition, and she felt a rush of warmth, embracing her with divine assurance. Suddenly, the night air filled with a sound like rushing water, a gentle cascade, whispering hope and renewal. "You are seen, you are heard, and I am with you," it seemed to say, resonating deep in the hearts of all standing there. The congregation erupted into a chorus of joyful shouts, a declaration of faith spilling forth. They were no longer merely watching from the sidelines, they were participants in a wondrous unfolding. Mary's heart swelled with gratitude and excitement. What miracles awaited them on the other side of this awakening? She looked into the eyes of the young boy beside her, and together they both knew the journey had just begun. But could they hold on to this faith when faced with the trials that might come? A thought danced at the edges of her mind, a question swirling within her spirit. As the night swirled in the depths of wonder and hope, what challenges might test their resolve tomorrow? As the vibrant light enveloped them, a hush fell over the room. The air was thick with anticipation. Mary glanced around, feeling the pulse of present faith in every heartbeat. Faces around her radiated with a divine glow. There were no longer mere expressions of belief, but a symphony of spirits united in hope and purpose. The boy beside her, still wide-eyed, seemed to embody the innocence of the moment. "What happens next?" he whispered, caught in the excitement swirling like wind. Mary smiled gently, recognizing the question wasn't merely about tonight. It was about the journey they would all take together from this moment on. "Tomorrow brings new possibilities," she replied softly, her heart filled with warmth. "We step forward, ready to confront whatever challenges lie ahead. Our faith will guide us." Just then, the flickering light transformed brilliantly, shaping into a radiant figure at the center of the altar. It wasn't just light. It felt alive, pulsating with kindness and purpose. It spoke, the voice reverberating in such a way that it reached into the depths of their souls. The challenges you face will teach you, and the faith you hold will empower you. Each step is part of a wondrous path. The congregation stood in awe, entranced by the divine presence that seemed to fill every inch of the church. Murmurs of excitement and trepidation swept through the crowd, but there was also a powerful reminder of unity. "What do we need to do?" a voice called from the middle of the gathering. Mary watched as heads turned, the collective energy shimmering like the stars above. The figure remained still, radiating tranquility. "Proclaim your faith, declare your desires," it encouraged, and the light pulsated in rhythm with their hearts, inviting action. "Peace," someone echoed. "Courage," another voice shouted, stronger now as the spirit of empowerment surged. "Hope," rang out, a chant rising to claim their promises. With each declaration, the air vibrated with purpose. Mary felt a stirring within her, a memory of every person who'd lost their way, every prayer that had felt unheard. This was a moment of awakening, a call to rise above. "Let your hearts be light, for the path unfolds before you," the figure proclaimed. "When fear threatens to overshadow, hold fast to your faith. It is the anchor that secures you in storms. The miraculous is born from belief." As they joined hands, Mary envisioned the hearts of those gathered, interwoven with hopes and dreams. Could they truly sustain this momentum when faced with everyday trials? Could this week of renewal and transformation strengthen not only their spirits, but also forge deeper bonds among them? In her heart, an ember of worry flickered. The journey wouldn't always be easy. Adversity often lurked where least expected. Yet the promise of miracles lay within their grasp, a promise that now felt imminent. As the figure of light paused, a lingering silence wrapped around the church. It felt as if the heavens themselves were holding their breath. Mary, emboldened, whispered, "What comes next? Show us the way." Her words hung in the air, heavy with anticipation, resonating with the collective longing for answers. Suddenly, a soft breeze swept through the gathering, stirring the very fabric of faith they had woven. It felt like a gentle nudge from the divine, a hint that something extraordinary awaited. With hearts now stirred and spirits ignited, they stood ready for whatever the new day might bring. But as the light dimmed once more, another question arose, a mystery lurking in the shadows of that sacred night. What would be their first step into the unknown? Would they dare to confront their fears and embrace the miraculous, or allow uncertainty to pull them back? In the hushed glow of the evening, a new aura began to fill the church, one that felt both familiar and wondrous. Mary could sense it, a ripple of excitement coursing through her body, igniting hope within her spirit. It was as if the divine presence around them was saying, "You are not alone. Your journey has just..." She closed her eyes for a moment, inhaling deeply, letting the soft warmth of the atmosphere wash over her like a peaceful embrace. In that space, she felt a call to deeper understanding, a whisper guiding her, urging her to act upon the words they had just proclaimed. Was it time to put their faith into action? The boy beside her, still holding his hands tightly, seemed eager yet anxious. "What do we do first?" he asked again, his eyes shining with curiosity. Before Mary could respond, the radiant figure at the altar began to glow brighter, its voice breaking through the thoughts swirling in her mind. "The first step is at your doorstep. Accept the challenges you face, for within them lie your revelations. Each declaration you make creates a pathway for change. As the crowd listened, their hearts quickened with each word. Begin with simple acts. Let your declarations guide you. Let them become your reason to rise each morning with courage and love. Encouraged by the message, one of the elders from the back of the church rose. "We should start small," he suggested, "an offering of kindness to our neighbors. It could be as simple as sharing a meal or extending a hand in support." His voice was met with murmurs of agreement, a wave of collective recognition of the truth in his words. Mary felt a surge of inspiration. It was true. Kindness costs nothing but carries immense power. "Let's not only declare faith, but embody it," she called out confidently, her voice strengthened by a newfound purpose. "Each small gesture can lead to something greater." From all around, more voices joined in. "Let our hearts be witnesses to our faith," someone shouted. "Let us create a tapestry of hope," another exclaimed. As they spoke, Mary envisioned their community transforming, every prayer creating waves of affection that echoed far and wide. The church felt alive, as if the very walls echoed with hidden potential. They were not merely gathering, they were weaving a movement, a divine tapestry intricately stitched with love and unity. The figure of light twinkled, resonating with their energy. "Your faith is the seed of transformation," it said gently. "What you extend to others returns tenfold, enriched with light and compassion. Your dreams, nurtured with kindness, will bloom into blessings." In that sacred moment, Mary realized they were on the brink of something monumental. This week was more than just a time for reflection. It was their launch into a new way of being. Hope filled the air like intoxicating perfume, lush and fragrant with promise. Yet within her, a tender concern lingered. "Will we stay strong when faced with obstacles?" she wondered aloud, feeling the weight of vulnerability and strength entwined. The luminous figure paused before responding. "Doubt may come, but remember, each act of faith draws you closer to your true purpose. Stand firm in your declarations, even when the path is unclear." Around her, a reassuring hush enveloped the church, as if the congregation was steeped in contemplation. Mary's heart raced. Could they push through the doubts and embrace bold changes, not just in themselves, but in their community? With a final brightening of light, the figure's voice filled the room. "Go forth. Let the declarations not only change you, but the world around you. Begin this journey with courage as you step into the unknown." As the fervor of hope cascaded through the space, Mary felt a deep connection with each person present. They were all co-creators in a sacred calling. She seized the moment, her hands raised, filled with fervor and excitement. But still, behind every heart's shout, a question lingers. What would their first act of faith be once they stepped out of the church? Would they rise collectively, fearless, or would the shadows of uncertainty follow them? As they looked to the sky beyond, awaiting another divine sign, the flickering light danced playfully. What awaited them in the grasp of tomorrow? What miracles would unfold as they began their journey together? As the congregation poured out of the church, a vibrant energy surged through the crowd, a collective heartbeat in rhythm with their newfound purpose. The streets, lined with a tapestry of aged bricks and the gentle flicker of street lamps, seemed to welcome them. Mary gazed at the familiar homes around her, each one a beacon of stories and souls. She knew in her heart, tonight was a night of declarations. "Let's visit Mrs. Thompson first," she suggested, her eyes sparkling with determination. "She's been unwell, and I know she could use some company and a warm meal." The boy beside her nodded eagerly, his earlier anxiety melting away. "I'll help. We can bring her my mom's chicken soup. It always makes me feel better when I'm sick." With purpose set in their hearts, they began the walk, each step resonating with a promise of kindness echoing in their minds.
Other members of the church joined in, forming a lively procession, laughter mixing with prayers of hope. The sound wafted gently into the night, like sweet incense rising toward the heavens. As they approached Mrs. Thompson's small house, Mary felt a shift in the air. It was thicker here, filled with hesitant energy that reminded her of those moments before a storm. Was it fear or excitement? The light shining through the little window was muted, as if the warmth inside struggled against the chill of isolation. "Let's knock," the boy said, his voice less certain than before. Mary stepped forward, her heart racing yet calm, anchoring herself in the moment. She knocked firmly. Moments passed, and just when doubt began to creep in, the door creaked open. A frail figure stood within, her face illuminated by the flickering light of a lamp. "Mary, my dear," Mrs. Thompson's voice was a gentle whisper, fragile yet filled with warmth. "What an unexpected joy!" They entered the small living room, which, despite its dim light, felt inviting. The air was filled with a mixture of her homemade lavender potpourri and the faint scent of dust, a reminder of time standing still. Mary shuffled forward, cradling the soup container close to her heart. "We brought you some soup and company, Mrs. Thompson," Mary said softly, handing the container over. "We missed you at church." As the elder received the offering, her eyes sparkled with gratitude, and Mary saw a flicker of warmth return to her spirit. "Oh, how lovely! Can you stay a while?" Seated in snug chairs, they spent the evening sharing stories, laughter punctuating the air like musical notes. The heaviness that had settled in Mrs. Thompson's eyes began to fade as the soup warmed her tummy and the stories filled her heart. Mary found herself lost in the moment, realizing that this simple act had transferred more joy than she could have expected. It was like a revelation, each shared experience building a bridge of connection that transcended the boundaries of time and age. But as the night drew to a close and they prepared to leave, Mary's heart was heavy. They had done something good tonight, yet she couldn't shake a question. Would these small acts be enough? Could they create a wave of change that rippled outwards? "Will others pick up this call?" she pondered, looking out into the night sky, which shimmered with countless stars. Each star seemed to whisper its own story, a testament to hope and resilience. Yet, even as she took comfort in their light, the flicker of doubt whispered louder now. The boy hesitated at the door, eyes reflecting uncertainty. "Do you think it's working? Are we really changing the world?" As Mary looked back, she saw Mrs. Thompson smiling, her face radiant with renewed life. "Every act matters," she said softly, almost as if reading Mary's thoughts. "Even just being here tonight has lifted my heart. Imagine the difference we can make together." And with those words echoing in her mind, Mary knew this was just the beginning. What other miracles could arise from their simple declarations? What other souls were waiting for a touch of light? With the night alive around them, they stepped out into the world, questions alive in their hearts. What would be the next act of faith that would shine through the shadows? The night air wrapped around Mary and the boy like a soft embrace, but the warmth of their earlier visit faded slowly into the coolness around them. They walked along the well-trodden path, the quiet murmur of their footsteps mixing with the whispers of the trees, the leaves rustling like gentle applause for their effort. Each step felt significant, yet the boy's question lingered like the last note of a hymn. "Are we really changing the world?" he asked again, glancing up at Mary with his wide, earnest eyes. Mary paused, drawing in a breath. The stars twinkled above, a celestial blanket reminding her that they weren't alone. "Sometimes changing the world happens one heart at a time," she began, her voice steady, like a prayer taking flight. "If we reach just one soul, that can radiate out into the world in unexpected ways. We may never see the ripples, but we believe they are there. The boy's face lit up at her words, a flicker of understanding igniting within him. "Let's go see Mr. Baker next," he suggested, his spirit rekindled. "He makes the best bread. Maybe we can help him bake." Mary smiled. "That sounds wonderful. Let's bring some joy to him." As they approached Mr. Baker's little shop, the sweet aroma of freshly baked goods wafted through the air. It wrapped around them like an inviting hug, mixing the sense of sweetness and warmth. The shop was a quaint place, its wooden door adorned with little charms and bells that jingled softly as they entered. Mr. Baker stood behind the counter, flour dusting his apron like the snow on a winter morning. His kind eyes sparkled as they entered, and a wide grin carved into his face. "Ah, Mary, and my little helper! What brings you two here on a lovely evening like this?" "We thought you could use some company, and we brought an idea," Mary replied, her enthusiasm palpable. "Can we help you bake? We want to make bread for those who can't come to your shop." Mr. Baker's eyes glimmered with delight. "Why, that's a splendid idea! Come on back." They moved into the kitchen, alive with the sounds of clattering pans and murmured prayers of encouragement from Mr. Baker as he guided them. Flour flew, laughter erupted, and for a moment it felt as if they were dancing to a joyful symphony, a sacred symphony of service and love. Mary's heart soared with each ingredient they added, each knead of the dough binding not just flour, but also hope into the bread they were crafting. She thought of Mrs. Thompson, of the warmth in her smile, and envisioned the same joy sweeping through others in their community, each loaf a message of love. In the midst of all the hustle, Mr. Baker paused, looking at Mary and the boy. "You know," he said, his voice gentle yet assuring, "these acts of kindness are like seeds. They can grow into mighty trees if nurtured with love." Mary nodded earnestly, remembering Mrs. Thompson's words. Every act matters. As the warm bread cooled on the counter, the boy suddenly exclaimed, "Look, the dough is rising!" Mary laughed, her spirit lifting as the loaves bloomed before their eyes, their potential mirroring the hope they nurtured within their hearts. "Just like us," she whispered, struck by the revelation that sometimes faith expands in mysterious ways. The scent of their freshly baked bread filled the shop, intertwining with the sweet aroma of friendship. It dawned on them, tonight was a tapestry woven with moments of joy. They were creating something greater than themselves. Just then, a sudden knock at the door broke their celebration. A weary face appeared, eyes hollow yet searching for solace. Mary's heart quickened as she recognized the figure from the church. "Please, I need help," came the voice, trembling yet determined. With the boy by her side,
Mary stepped forward, the warmth of the kitchen behind them, ready to embrace what lay ahead. They had come to share light, but this moment hinted at a deeper calling. Would this encounter lead to something extraordinary? As they opened the door, anticipation mingled with uncertainty, and Mary felt the stirring of a divine challenge unfolding before them. The air was charged with an unmistakable energy, a palpable sense of adventure gripping the congregation as Mary, heart aflame with purpose, watched the weary figure step into the warm glow of Mr. Baker's shop. It was Jacob, a man known throughout the village for his silent anguish and isolation. A wave of compassion washed over Mary, filling the space that once held doubt. "Jacob!" she exclaimed, her voice a blend of joy and urgency. "What brings you here?" "I've come seeking hope," he stammered, eyes glistening with unshed tears. It was a stark contrast to the stoic facade he often displayed, and Mary felt a boost of divine courage surge within her. "Come, join us," she beckoned, motioning him toward the warmth of friendship and freshly baked bread. As he stepped forward, the collective warmth of the gathered souls wrapped around him like an embrace. With every word and gesture, Mary wove a sacred tapestry of connection, drawing them all into a circle of hope.
"We're sharing love and healing through simple acts," she explained, her heart racing with the potential of the moment. "Tonight, you are not alone." The acceptance in Jacob's eyes held an unfamiliar flicker of light, hinting that perhaps his heart hadn't closed completely. The boy beside her, filled with youthful enthusiasm, chimed in. "Let's bake together. Each loaf can carry our wishes." As the dough continued to rise, so did the spirits of those gathered. Mr. Baker guided them through the labor of love, hands kneading heart into substance, creation blossoming from intention. Mary reached out to Jacob, her voice steady and inviting. "What can we pray for, Jacob?" she asked, sensing the clouds of despair still lingering around him. "My son, he's been lost to darkness," Jacob confessed, a weight of anguish hanging in his voice. "I fear he walks a path that'll lead him far away from me." In that heavy pause, Mary felt an overwhelming sense of empathy wash over her, a mingled understanding of brokenness and the transformative power of faith. "We can lift him up," Mary replied, her conviction echoing in the room. "Let's unite our hearts and speak his name into the light." With heads bowed and hands clasped, they prayed together, each voice resonating a declaration of healing that reached beyond the visible realm. "Brandon, may you find peace. Brandon, may you be restored." Soft murmurs of compassion and hope filled the shop as the bread baked steadily, uncovering the divine power reverberating through every soul present. When they finished, the first golden loaves emerged from the oven, steam dancing like liberated spirits. The sweet aroma wafted through the air, filling the room with promise. "Jacob," called with a smile, holding out a warm loaf. "This is for you and your family." Murmurs of agreement spread as others gathered around, eager to share their creations. "Let's make sure everyone feels this love," Mary added. She stepped forward, her voice a gentle flame igniting hearts. "Together, we can deliver these loaves to our neighbors, to those in need, and share the joy we've discovered here." A sense of purpose welled in the air. Soon, Jacob wasn't just a man burdened by pain. He was a conduit of hope, his heart stirring toward action. "I'll join you," he said, newfound determination shining in his eyes. "I'll take bread to my son." Heartbeats quickened as the village came alive with energy, each step a collective proclamation of faith. They set out into the evening, visions of connection guiding them like stars illuminating their path. Each house became a sanctuary of light and love, destiny unfolding at their fingertips. Laughter and tears blended into the warm night air as door after door opened to receive their offerings. Every kind gesture felt like a prayer steeped in love, refreshing the weary souls of their neighbors. Finally, as they arrived at Jacob's home, he took a deep breath, his hand trembling yet resolute. "This is where it changes," he whispered. With Mary at his side, they knocked gently. The moment stretched as they waited, filled with the gravity of hope. The door creaked open, and there stood Brandon, lost but not entirely forsaken. Jacob's heart lurched as he beheld the son he feared he could no longer reach. "Dad," came the hesitant response, eyes filled with confusion. "Brandon, we've brought something for you. Bread, yes, but mostly love. We've found a way to bring the world together," Jacob said, the power of conviction pouring out in every word. The youth looked at the loaf, then at the people gathered around. For the first time in a long while, he saw that he wasn't alone. "Will you join us?" Mary urged softly, her voice wrapping around him. "There is light waiting for you." The room held its breath, a cocoon of possibility. At that moment, as the night danced on like silvery threads, the flicker of divine connection sparked between father and son. Brandon's shoulders relaxed, and he stepped forward, embracing Jacob. "I thought I was lost," he admitted, tears spilling down his cheeks. "But now I see hope." As they all shared in the moment, hearts knitted closer together by threads of grace, Mary felt the power of transformation wash over them. They had faced doubt, darkness, and isolation, only to rise together as a vibrant tapestry of love woven in faith. This was truly just the beginning. What would unfold next? Mary knew that every miracle, once declared, had the potential to ripple throughout their lives. As the newfound family embraced, Mary whispered a vision deep within her heart, daring the universe to unfold a movement of faith beyond their wildest hopes. The challenge had been met head-on. The journey forward would bring trials, yes.
But they knew the light of divine love would guide them through the unknown. And suddenly, the air seemed alive with the promise of even greater wonders just around the corner. Let faith flourish, dear friends. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of faith. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Embrace the journey together.